Hey everybody, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I'm Marin Grodzinski. I can't even talk tonight. And this is Anthony Simonelli, my co-host. Mr. Forget About It.
What's up? How you doing?
How is everyone tonight? We have Bobby with us. We have Ron with us. And I know that there are others out there who are too shy to say hello. Maybe you'll stop in and say a couple words. I'm again in Florida, but it's freezing here, and I know that it's pretty cold for Anthony as well. What's it there?
Well, right now, I don't know. I haven't been out all day.
That's probably better for you.
It's cold. Let me go look. I'm not even sure. It's 56 degrees right now.
Oh, it's like that here too. So
It's winter. It's winter going into, well, we got spring. Don't we have next week?
yeah, it was 84 here yesterday. Today it's 56. So it's going back
Oh,
up again. I'm sure I'll get sick. So I don't know.
no,
I hope to be here next week with the throat, whatever throat.
so,
Um, we're gonna have a fun show tonight. We have Tony from Interstate Paranormal Research. He has a really cool team, and there's lots to talk about. So we'll bring him in now. Hey, Tony.
what's up,
Hey,
Tony?
hey, what's up,
Uh,
Mister? Forget about it.
Hey, oh, what's
Forget
up,
about
Tony?
it.
Hey, Tony. Tonito.
How
That's
you doing?
we can figure out who's who by talking to Anthony and Tony.
Hey, what's up? Tony, and Anthony. Hey.
Yeah.
How you doing,
So
Marine?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I had a really great time with you guys at the George Taylor house. It was lots of fun.
We appreciate that. We strive to make all of our events there, both public and VIP, as fun as possible and rewarding as possible for our guests.
It was a great time. I really had a blast. And how many people do you typically have at your location?
As like public ticket sales or when we do private?
So what I was that like a VIP thing, or was that
That was just a public event, that
okay?
you could buy tickets to investigate. We sell a max of 20 up to 25 tickets.
Okay. So the night that I was there, for anyone that hasn't heard the story yet, I was with Scott Porter and Stephanie Burke. So it was a night that we had two celebrities with us, and we had a really good time. I think there were like, what was it, like 5 or 6 people to a group?
Yep.
Yeah. So we had 4 groups, I think. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
four
it was
groups.
4.
Yeah. It's a really exciting location. We had tons of evidence. At least in my group we did. I don't know about the other.
The George Taylor house is the hot topic right now. As everybody can see in Facebook land, we can officially make the announcement that Ghost Hunters filmed an episode there, which
Hmm.
is airing on May 4th.
Yeah, I read
It's
that. That's great.
towards the end of their new season, that premieres, because I think the end is like the May 3rd week of May. So it's toward the end of their season, but nonetheless, it's actually making it on Ghost Hunters, which we knew that they filmed. We were under a non-disclosure agreement for the longest time, and it was really hard not to tell people about it.
Hmm.
But I can, I can speak volumes about the location. It's deep rooted in history. George Taylor was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. There's many families that came after the Taylors, so there's a lot of layers of history there. And every single time you go to that house, now, like all investigations, you have, peaks and valleys of, activity and, investigations. But one thing I can guarantee at that house is every time every time you investigate a new piece of evidence or a new experience or something happens to validate it being haunted. Um, I can't speak about certain things because we're still partially under a non-disclosure of what we've captured in the past. You'll have to wait for the show to come out and see what they captured.
Mhm.
But some of the things that we've captured there, have blown not only celebrities, people's minds, the public mind, and it's all validated information and validated, claims and activity that we've captured.
To make it the ghost hunters, there must be something going on there. So, yeah,
It was
they don't
awesome.
just go in any. They don't just go anywhere. If they go somewhere, it has to have some activity going on there and proof of activity. But that's awesome. That's
And
awesome.
you will see once the show comes out, depending on what they air and what they don't air, we have something to present as well, but I can't delve into that. Just give a little bit of a tease to everybody.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
That
I
was
understand
actually
that.
that was actually one of my favorite locations I think I've ever been to. We had so much evidence, and some of it was so unique that I can't wait to come back again.
you remember when we were all sitting in the living room, that loud metal crash that happened up on the second floor?
Yeah.
So Anthony, so Scott and Stephanie, we were doing a living room session,
Mhm.
which we kind of like to do towards either the beginning or the end of the night. Is we'll bring all of our guests together in the living room and kind of look, listen, and feel. We'll do EVP session, try to get them to respond. And when you're listening, you will hear things happen. You will hear footsteps. You will hear doors close. You'll hear activity. Equipment going off. And one of the coolest things that Scott and Stephanie speak about to this day, and if you guys are watching, thanks for coming out. Thanks for supporting the George Taylor House, is upstairs and what they have set up on the second floor bedroom as a kid's room. They're not 100% sure that that was an actual kid's room, but that's how they have it set up with antique beds
Mhm.
in there. There is nothing metal in that room whatsoever. And we were all on the first floor, directly above the living room is the kids' room.
Mhm.
And we were just sitting there I think we were doing an Echo Vox session, and we were getting some direct answers and direct questioning. And all of a sudden, you heard a loud metal bang on the floor. And what was unique about the bang was, you remember the old like 1980s bed frames that were just solid metal and they had the metal springs?
Yeah, I had a couple of those.
Right. Do you remember that noise when you picked it up and banged it on the floor? You heard that twang, wang, 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 like that noise?
Oh yeah, like the spring vibrate. Yes.
Yes. So not only did it crash on the floor and you could feel it in the floor on the first floor, the vibration, you heard that twang, and we were all like, what in the hell was that? There's no metal upstairs whatsoever. The kids' beds and the kids' crib up there are all wood.
Wow.
There's no metal mattresses or
Wow.
box springs.
Is there any fireplaces up there?
There's a fireplace up there, but
Mhm.
it's closed off.
Okay.
So
I
it's
mean,
not
so
in use.
the fireplace. The only way, I mean, any metal I would see is by a fireplace. With the pokers or with the
Mhm.
screen that went, that covers the fire in. You know.
Yep. No screen and the pokers and stuff. There's none up there, but there are some in the Hannah's bedroom
Mhm.
and Ann's bedroom, but that was complete opposite side of the house, not where the sound came
Wow.
from.
Yeah,
That's all. That's
everything on
interesting.
that floor is like all blocked off from what I remember. So nobody can just come and go up there, because I was kind of like creeping around and like just looking in, and it's all dark, so no one would even want to go in there. I mean,
I
I
would.
Yeah.
would.
I would. Dark. You kidding? That's what investigators do. We go in the darkest, dirtiest, coldest, wettest places to just get that little piece of evidence on the audio or on a camera. You know,
And
we're the only people that would do that, and pay for it too.
yeah, right. That was the first investigation I think I've ever been on that everyone there had their own equipment. They were all like walking around with suitcases. It was like everybody was going on a trip somewhere.
Yeah, even though when we hold our events there, we still encourage all of our ticket holders, all of our guests to bring their own equipment. That way they feel comfortable using their equipment. And then if they get something on their own equipment, they know their own equipment, they can validate it, they can debunk it kind of thing. So we're very, very flexible about people bringing their own equipment. We have tons of equipment that they could use as well. And we're willing to let them use it and show them if they don't know how, but we encourage the public to use their own.
The equipment, it always go. And it's like when you go on investigation, you're an investigator. You go on investigation, you bring too much equipment. And half the time you don't use it all. You just use a couple of things and that's it. But you might want to find later on something, and if it's there, you're happy. If it's not there, you'd rather have it there than look for it later on.
So that's a good point. And it's like the guys with their toolbox or their tackle box for fishing. You bring everything to the pond, but you may only use one bobber for the day.
That's right.
So at that particular place, and you talk about equipment, and it's like when you don't want to, or when you don't bring something is when you realize you need it.
That's right.
So I will be brutally honest. Out of 17 years of doing this thing, paranormal investigation, I really like a laser grid, right? Laser grid, you set it up. It's a pain in the tuchus sometimes, when the battery gets drained, it's only, on for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes unless you have a plug-in one. So I've used them and I never caught anything in a laser grid. I've never seen anything in a laser grid besides a human or an animal. I've never caught paranormal evidence with the laser grid until George Taylor House.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where you're like, hey, I haven't put this out in a while. Let's try it here just for, poops and giggles, for lack of a better term. And it was in Hannah's room. We set it up facing in the room with a camera. We had 4 investigators in the room that were doing an EVP session. And out of the right above the fireplace mantle on the wall, a probably 2.5 to 3 foot shadow came out of the wall and shot to the left immediately in the laser grid.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we all know that as, investigators, that in order to cast that shadow or break the laser grid, a human has to physically stand in front of it and break the grid, correct? I mean, that's how laser grids work.
That's, the basic laser grid, yes.
We had a drop camera in that room recording the entire event. None of my teammates moved, and that shadow comes off of the wall and goes into the room next to it.
That's wild.
So
wild.
we have that piece of evidence and came right out of George Taylor House.
That's great. I mean, it's great when you catch it on audio and video, especially video. I'm a big video person because I figure you got video and audio. So you got best of both worlds, the video, and you got the EVPs on there also. So, I'm a big video person, But yeah, it's like you said, you bring your equipment, you just bring, like you said. And sometimes, like some places, it's certain equipment, like you said, the laser grid worked great there, but didn't work anywhere else. Certain places, you bring equipment and you try it there and it's like, this never did anything anywhere else. I paid all this money for it. And over here, all of a sudden it goes crazy.
Yep.
So you don't know the certain energy in certain locations that will use certain equipment on and make it go off, or just get some sort of evidence, or just get the feeling that something's there that wants to communicate with you. So yeah, that's great when you get a piece of equipment that you don't get nothing on, and also when you get something on, especially a great piece of evidence like that.
It's all about trial and error, and what we do is research and we experiment with things.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they try to play around with you too. Like if you're using one thing and they don't necessarily like what you're using, they'll be like, screw it. We're not going to play with this one. And then you bring something else out and they're like, oh, we like this game.
The flip side of what Maureen said, which is a really good point, is that what we've noticed and what we're making a hypothesis about, and we're testing it at different locations that we go to, is sometimes not only will they play with certain equipment, but not others, is sometimes we're finding out that some pieces of equipment are easier to be triggered by them than others, even though it works off the same principle.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Like K2, everything sets off K2 nowadays. But back then, that's much easier than the what do you call it, the REM pod, to
Hmm.
set off, and it's different piece of equipment. Yes, it is slide. Even when I first started with my equipment back in the early 2000s, and I went to a hardware store and bought the what do you call it, the cell phone, the EMF meter, and had a little handle on it. I still got it. It works great, and that when that works. And I mean, I used it at the Tilly Pierce house one night, and it was like 2004, 2005. But I had it on one of the counters, and they said a little boy comes in and plays with your electronics. And in the middle of the night, there's no electricity in the corner. All of a sudden, the thing goes nuts. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? It was great, but the camera died right before that. So that's before we had the plug-in cameras. Everything was on a little battery and stuff like that.
Right.
But well, a big battery was like the size of yeah, you know. so, so you put
The
plug that on there.
the big brick that gives you 60 minutes of filming.
Yeah, yeah. It's too heavy. I mean, you got to bring it in with a hand truck. Some of these batteries, and they only give you like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe 60 minutes, like an hour. And you're like, I just charged that whole freaking night. Like, it cost me so much to charge it from the electric. Pay more electricity just to put into this thing than it actually lasts. So yeah, yeah. So that you're right with that. With the equipment, sometimes the equipment is you know um, works in some locations. I also find out you might want to use this theory too. In certain locations at certain times, things happen. You know, Hinsdale House. I always found out things like after 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, they start going bananas. We had doors open up and everything in front of us. Of course, any time of day you get stuff there, but I'm talking about the heavy stuff. Things coming out of the woods and all that. Um,
I got a funny story about Hinsdale.
the Shanley Hotel. I always find out like after like 1, 2 o'clock. I'm always getting more stuff there, even though I did get stuff at like 4 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, different locations have different time zones. I guess maybe it's a zone for whatever happened there at a certain time or whatever,
Hmm.
and so different locations have different you know equipment. Some equipment works at that time and not the other time. So yeah, or it's the moon, or where the moon's located in this, or if it's raining out, all kinds, or just cloudy, or just you know, this electrical charge in the air.
Hmm.
So
And
yeah,
because
so
we don't know exactly what's going on the other side. Because last time I checked, Marine's alive, you're alive, I'm alive. So on the other side of things in that other universe, you know, do they have a time schedule? Do they have a bedtime?
mhm,
Like, do they go to work? All this type of stuff where we're tromping around their living room at 11:30 at night in the dark, and it's a 1700 building. They were not awake at 11:30 at night. They were fast asleep at best.
mhm.
So, here we are. Hello, can anybody hear me? And you're like, and they're probably like, God damn it, I'm sleeping. What are these people doing?
Yeah, a lot of those places they went to bed as soon as it got dark out because
Hmm.
a lot of them couldn't even afford candles, or if they had candles, those were like for big moments like holidays and stuff like that, or just to do their homework. You
Hmm.
know, that's what a lot of places were. They're poor, but then you got the places that had these big mansions where people have money and they you know and to me, I don't think spirits have a certain time. I don't think there's time over there.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know,
time's
you
linear,
know.
it's even
Yeah.
here, time's linear because don't you think that we're kind of like sliding into another dimension once in a while? It seems like, with deja vu and
That's if you drink too much.
listen, don't tell my stories.
Then you will start sliding into other dimensions. Yes.
I do
No,
think like there
I
is
believe in
too if
dimensions.
you do deja vu, is it like a dimension slide? Sometimes you kind of think that things seem off once in a while. I mean, is it a dimension hop? Like we don't know what's going on with that kind of stuff yet. So maybe with them, do they know what time it is? Some of them, like I've heard stories where people saw half a half a body laying someplace and then it chopped off. There may have been, a wall put up after the fact. So we don't, I mean, like maybe there isn't a time thing that they're aware of. Tom Nally, we know that you don't know anything about drinking too much.
Shout out to Tom Nally and BB3 TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren said that she just did a Google Earth search of the house and she thinks that that it's absolutely beautiful architecture. It really is. It's such a beautiful place.
It is, and I really got to give a lot of credit to the George Taylor House Association, all their board of director members, and every volunteer that goes out to that place and maintains it.
Yeah.
It's sad that a place like that in history is not supported better by government organizations. It's not funded by government organizations. They work off of history tours. Whatever we're able to do on the paranormal side of things to bring them in money and the different events that they hold, with George Taylor. They have a very small operating budget from the borough that was just canceled, due to political reasons. And luckily, I believe it was a grant from some senator or something from the state. Their summer kitchen outside, they just got a $40,000 roof repair. So, that was done. So there's no way that we would be able to, afford something like that. Now they're looking at replacing the windows. I think it was a $200,000 estimate to replace all the windows, to historical value.
That's cool.
Do you guys do private investigations, not just public?
Yeah, we do.
All right, we gotta talk. I could bring some people out there to help you guys too.
Yeah,
just
no
private
problem.
stuff.
Anthony can put the windows in for you. Just
No,
make sure it's really
I'm an
hot.
electrician. I'm not a glazer. I don't do windows. I don't do windows. You know what I'm saying? No windows here. I put the two pieces of wire together and that's it.
Positive and negative, make sure it's hot, and I'm out.
Yeah, and every time just go like this, test it. Just lick your fingers and touch the tip. Oh, it's on.
PT.
My finger's glowing.
I had a really. Can I tell about my experiences there, or
Yeah,
can I not?
absolutely.
Because I know you said that like there are some things that you can't talk about, but
So
I don't
let me just, before you go on, let me just clarify that there's stuff that we have captured and potentially the TV show was captured, and that's all I can say. We cannot release anything until the show comes out.
that happened on that. Okay.
Are you guys gonna be on the show? Are you gonna be on the show too? They narrate you guys anything?
Unfortunately, I think that was in the production schedule, but we never got an invitation, so that's okay.
All right. Well, the location, this is what it means. You're getting
Yep.
money for the location. If we don't get on something, at least the location got the recognition of what it, has, and maybe more people will go there. Like now, I was going to talk to you about being on that because Maureen always talks about the George Taylor House.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to talk to you about maybe getting something together and we'll go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I told Anthony that I want him to come with me because I think he would love it so much.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, it's a beautiful building. There's a lot of activity. There's multiple areas to investigate, and if you come there when it's appropriate weather and warm, the buildings aren't standing anymore, but there's some old structures on the property that were there, like a barn, a carriage house. What's not saying you can't stand out underneath the tree or at the bench and do some EVPs and try to, possibly get some EVPs. We actually have, in between the summer kitchen and the main house, we were doing setup, broad daylight, 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. We have wrist EVP recorders that several of our teammates use, and we have clear as day EVPs, Class A, of little kids outside, just playing and laughing. We even have an EVP of what sounds like, I'm going to say, an Amish lady or Mennonite, just because that's how she sounds. And she says, "That's a no." Like you hear it clear as day, Class A.
Wow.
That's great. But you know what I've been using now too on investigations? The body cams.
We have two of them on the team.
Yeah, I got two just for myself. I put one on my front, one on my back. I hold my camera up here. I walk in. I got my my vest on with all my equipment. You guys see me, I'm a mess.
Like a Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting point that you brought up, Anthony. I like that because not too many people that I know of have anything
Yeah.
recording behind them.
Mhm.
So if we're walking through the dark through locations and we're investigating, for instance, Pennhurst, with Rockwell Tunnel, Devon Building, you're
Yeah.
constantly walking and on the move. If your eyes are all focused forward, one, because your equipment, two, because it's dark, you don't want to fall. Three, you don't know what in the hell is going to happen in front of you, so you don't want to miss it.
Mhm.
What's going on behind you? So I
Mhm.
really like that idea about, having rear
It's
facing
just
camera.
because how many times you're walking somewhere and you hear walking behind you,
Yep.
Mhm.
or something as you go past something, you hear crashes or doors slamming and stuff. You
Or
don't
they're
have
like,
eyes in the back of your head,
"Woo!"
so you have your camera back there and you see what you get.
That's cool. That's really a good idea.
Mhm.
You just have to be careful, like if you have it back there, like if you lean against the wall or something, you know what I mean? You're obstructing the camera.
You got to worry about it being back there when you go to the bathroom. That's a sight you don't want to see. And- yeah, well,
That's
that's
cool.
the whole thing. When it's back there, sometimes you don't realize it's back there.
Mhm.
You know, at the Trans Allegheny, lunatic style in West Virginia,
Yep.
and I had my camera up here and I had a body cam here, and I walked into a room and I'm all by myself. All I got is that 2-inch screen on my camera with the night vision and everything
And
going in.
darkness all around you.
All darkness. I mean, to walk down the halls, I got to actually put my hand on the wall to go straight
Mhm.
because you end up walking to a wall of stuff. So I'm walking, and I walk into this room, and all of a sudden something hits me in the chest. Well, boom! You can see me on my camera. The camera's up here. I'm like, something just hit me. So I'm looking around, seeing something fall off the ceiling and see what hit me on the floor or whatever. I didn't get nothing on that. Or you could hear me say that. So I have my body cam right here, and you can see. So you see something coming out of the body cam. You hear me get hit. I said something hit me, and then something come back down. So those body cams. I mean, it's awesome. You have them in the back, you have them in the front. The back, I might even get more. Some in the back of the head, the top. Make glasses out of them.
Well, if you guys remember, I forget the exact episode, but it was the second Ghost Hunter series that had Daryl Marston, my friend. Shout out to Daryl Marston from Ghost Hunters, and Mustafa and Brian and Rochelle and all them. They actually have a good piece of evidence where he had his body cam on and they captured a shadow figure kind of peeking around the door that they missed in the original production of everything and the evidence review. And then somebody had said, hey, let's go back and review this body cam. And they did, and they captured that shadow figure, and then they edited it into the show, I believe, afterwards. So
Yeah.
you just never know.
Wow.
No, you never know what you're gonna get evidence on. And then you go to places you don't think you get anything, and it's like, oh, this night's a bust. And then you go back and get more EVPs on your recorder, and it's like, holy shit, this was a great night. Wow, it was a good night. And and you go home, you're disappointed. Then you go in, nah, this great place. Yeah. Were you guys at Gettysburg last year?
Yeah.
Gettysburg Bash.
Mhm.
Okay, I was too. I was at the table.
Yeah.
I remember you guys walking over.
Mhm.
I might have met you. I probably did meet you.
Yeah, you meet hundreds of people, at cons, and it's like, hey, I remember that guy's face or his voice, but what in the hell is his name again?
Yeah, I was sitting next to Chris Cesare and Ronald Lourdes.
Yep.
Yeah, because Ronald Lourdes, that's why I go a lot of places. The three of us are stuck together.
Arnie, were you in the middle, like down towards the back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember you guys now. You had the big poster, the big, you had the interstate thing across the back there. Yeah.
Yep, that's us.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be there again this year. So.
Yeah, I'll see you there. That's like
Thank
that's like a rite of passion. It's I love Para Unity, you know, in Jersey. I love the Bash. I just feel the Bash is a little bit more homely, you know, a little bit more family. It's smaller. You're able to mingle more, you know,
Mhm.
get involved and network a little bit easier. But this year with the Para Unity Expo going to 2 days, that might make it a little bit better to be able to, like, you know, mingle and meet people.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be at the Para Unity too. I'll be there with Ron and Lourdes at their booth.
Okay.
I'll be there. You going to VIP? I'll be at the VIP also.
Nah, I missed the VIP, but I'll definitely stop by and check you out at the table.
Yeah. Well, we're in the back by
Okay.
the you know, they have the, what do they call that? The display rooms, and they have, you know, Ron does. I don't know. You know Ron
Yep.
Jacobetti and
Yeah.
okay.
There's our ITC research and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He does his radio back there. So I'll be there. I'll be Gettysburg. I'm going to be at the. Are you going to go to the one Sleepy Hollow?
So no, we actually have stuff that's booked for that and the Warrens. We're gonna miss the Warrens this year too.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be at MassCon also.
Okay.
I'll be there also. I figure you guys will be there too. Yeah, with the Penhurst one, we're going to be missing that one because we got.
Oh,
We're going to Conjuring House.
yeah, that's
I'll
a
be at
big
the
one.
Conjuring House. Yeah, so it's like go to Penhurst or the Conjuring House. I got the Conjuring House, which is my second time there, but you know, it's like, you know, you can't afford everything too. You know, like,
Yeah.
these things cost
Penn,
money.
Penhurst is going to be big because, you know, they didn't have it because of COVID and the heat, and then they
Hmm.
changed it, you know, to May, so the temperature, you know, would be a little
Hmm.
bit better. Um,
Yeah,
I want to say they had like 10 or 11,000 people there. You know, the last time they had it, it was pretty big.
yeah. So
It's funny because we had actually a couple of us and a couple former teammates, we had purchased tickets to go to Penhurst Saturday morning. We did Selma the night before, and they had it like July 9th, I think, or July 8th. And
yeah.
we were at Selma till like 1 o'clock in the morning. We were like passed out because we were like so heat exhausted because it was like 100 degrees in there because it's
Yeah.
before Bill Freeman put the air conditioner in there. You know, miss that
Hmm.
guy. You know,
Yeah,
Bill
I do
Freeman,
too.
rest in peace.
Such a great
Love that
guy.
dude. Love that dude, man. Um, but you know, I woke up the next morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, like ready to get a shower, go to Penhurst, dude. And I was so sick and dehydrated, I missed it. And then they didn't have it the last couple of years. So it's
Aw.
back. We're there and we're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, and it's like I wanted to be there, but you know, I can't do everything. And also, Rochester's having theirs also that in that like week after that, Rochester Paracon,
Hmm.
they're having one also. So yeah, I say amazing. Yeah, I see people like they do like Gettysburg. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
love Pittsburgh.
yeah,
You know,
Gettysburg.
you can get the history in while you're out there. You can get sightseeing done. You know,
Mm-hmm.
great hotel, great event that's put on by Pam and Steve. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
They're good people.
beautiful, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man, and it supports a great cause, and it brings a lot of everybody together from all over. You know,
Yeah,
some
it is
people
so
fly
fun.
in.
Yeah, I what I like about it the most is the after party. I they sell cigars there. I have my cigar. We have our beers, and we sit back there and we hang out with everybody. You know, everybody comes down. We have a good time, and
Right.
that's how you get to meet people. Also, that's
It's
other
great
people
for
in the field.
networking.
You know.
Yeah, I mean that's part of what this field is. I just had a great podcast and conversation with some good friends of mine in the paranormal field over at Para, you know, that run Third Eye Production Company, Larissa Rex and
Hmm.
her husband
I love
Alan.
Larissa.
And you know, I'll say this. This is the equation to a successful paranormal group, paranormal team, paranormal whatever, is have fun doing what you're doing, because if you're not
Right.
having fun doing what you're doing, then why are you doing it?
That's
Right.
right. I guess it's all about the good time. I mean, we want to do what we're going to do, but you have a good time doing it, and
Yep.
there's no animosity. You just do it together, and it's you get like-minded people, and that's all you need. You have a good time all night long.
Have a
You
good
know,
time,
there's no
make some
ego.
laughs, do
Hmm.
some funny stuff. We know when it's time to get serious and time to get down and investigate, and we know when
Hmm.
time is have fun. We
Yeah,
have blooper reels. We sing, we make funny TikToks. We have fun doing it, but when it's time to get serious, we get serious.
yeah,
Um, and then secondary is do what we do. We experiment, we research, and we try to find evidence. That's what we're doing, right? While we're having
mhm,
fun, we're trying to find evidence or proof of the afterlife. And
that's right.
then the third and most important part of the equation, and you already kind of touched on it, like minded people having fun, is no
Hmm.
drama. Like, no drama. No
That's
one's
I mean,
no
yeah,
one's going anywhere.
Amazing. Your team's everybody there is amazing.
I love my team. I
They're
wouldn't
awesome
ask for
people.
anybody else.
We had so much fun with them. They cracked me up. They answered questions. They were some of the nicest people I have ever met. They weren't they weren't rude. They weren't like laughing at anything. They were just like the most down to earth people ever.
hmm,
Um,
Um, and we have a couple new people on the team that are still kind of in like the learning phase, because
yeah.
they're
hmm.
newer investigators. And I can only say great things about them, that they're stepping out, they're doing great, they're listening, they're learning, and they're making a name for themselves on the team. So
That's good. I mean, when you get new people in too, and you teach them the right way of doing it, it's not, it's so many people out there that buys a piece of equipment or, goes on one of, a couple investigations and say, I'm a ghost hunter. You have to, I mean, it's really, you got to learn. And by people, experienced people that show you how to do it the right way, it's perfect.
yeah.
That's the way to go. And then you have, later on, say they want to have their own team, they go off on their own, or they move to another state, and they start their own stuff. That's great, And then you're like, wow, that one. I'm the one who showed that one that, and you see, and then they come back to you, so you find out, hey, listen, is this real evident? What do you think about this picture? What do you think about this video? What do you think about this audio? And that's so. I mean, you feel like, hey, I'm a mentor. It's like some sort, but it's great to teach newer people, you
Mhm.
know, and younger
And
people to get into it.
and we just had this discussion of on the team when we were just at George Taylor House um, a couple weeks ago. Is there's no true legitimate professional out there, hands down. If
Always
you want to
learning,
call
always
right,
learning.
if you want to say anybody is closest to, being a professional is, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who obviously they are no longer with us. They are
Hmm.
highly, respected and looked after in the community. And then the next person down the line is you got Johnny Zaffis. Zaffis has been
Johnny.
around. He's been around a long time. He's done a
Hmm.
lot. He's been with the Warrens. That guy is the closest to a professional. And I think, you know, second to that is what you said, Anthony, about when you have somebody that's done it, 17, 25, 30, 40 years, that's an experienced person that, there's nothing wrong with looking up to that person. And there's nothing wrong with learning or taking constructive criticism from that person.
That's right. Yeah. That's another thing. Everybody that gets evidence, a lot of people can't take the criticism.
Hmm.
They show you something and they say, um, oh, look at this, and what do you think? And then you say, well, I think that's dust, or that's reflection, or that's a lens flare, or I think that was somebody whispering in the background on that audio, and they just can't take it, and they get mad. So I had a lot of people that, what? You're the only one that gets stuff, good stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not saying everything I get's not good.
Hmm.
It's not. It's not. I don't consider everything I get evidence. You know, but they can't take the criticism. You know.
And there's and not to get too many into details about recent situations, but there's a difference between like constructive criticism or giving your personal opinion, because everybody has an opinion, especially
Right.
in paranormal field. But there's a difference between when you start trying to bash somebody, or you try to,
Yes, yeah.
you downgrade somebody just because
Mhm.
you weren't there. You don't know the environment. You don't know what they captured or what they didn't capture.
Mhm.
It's one thing to say, like you just said, hey, I think that's kind of dust. I don't really think that's an orb. I really don't think that's an energy
Mhm.
anomaly. I really think that's dust. And then have the other person go, okay, thanks for your opinion, but I was there. I know it was a virtually clean place. I think
Mhm.
we have something. And then you agree to disagree, but it's professional. But
Yeah.
as soon as you start trying to berate somebody and
Mhm.
degrade somebody and bully somebody, that's
Uh-huh.
when it's got to cut off there. And we have
That's right.
too much of that going on in the paranormal field.
There's
Yeah, it's getting
a lot of
worse
kings.
too.
I'm sorry, Maureen.
I,
Want
I
to
was
talk?
just saying it's just getting worse too.
You got too many people that feel that every they're above everybody else because they got it. They were on a TV show. I'm not talking about the guys on TV shows every week. I'm just talking about people that you know, like I was on Paranormal Night Shift. I was
Hmm.
on one episode. Okay, great. I was not, but I'm not, because I'm on one show doesn't mean, hey, I'm a star,
Right.
you know,
I was on Portals to
superstar,
Hell.
you
I
know,
was on Portals to Hell, and I don't consider myself a superstar.
but there's people that go on these shows that have one time out there, and then the next thing they, oh, like they think they're big shots. They know somebody, you know, in the paranormal field or somebody on another show, and they met him or they say hello to him in the street, and they say, "Oh, I know him." No, you didn't. You say hello to him.
Mhm.
It's not like you know the people or even
You're
have
not
a
breaking bread
conversation
with
with them.
them.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I could say people that I go and I could sit down and have a meal with or have a beer with and stuff like that. Those are the people I like to be around. But like you have these people with these shows, and they're on one or two shows, and all they're doing is telling. It's not like they're doing anything on the show. They're just sitting there being interviewed, and now they think they're somebody. They come on, take your ego down because we're all on the same level. I don't care how many years you've been in this. We all learn something new. I could learn something new, and I have from like a person that was like in it for 1 year, and they told me something like, that makes sense,
Mhm.
and I started. I forgot what it was, but I started adapting to what they were saying. I think, that's a better way of doing it. You always find a better way of doing it, or because the kids nowadays they're on the computer 24 hours a day, and they come across things that maybe we don't know.
and that's
So
a and that's a good thing when you talk about networking. Networking is getting into places, learning about other people's teams, learning about what they do for the community in the paranormal world. But networking also allows us to learn from each other.
Mhm.
mhm,
Like when you come down and to GTH, you might bring a piece of equipment or an investigation style that we've never seen and go, oh man, that could kind of work over here or in this particular situation. I mean, we already talked
mhm,
about the rear view camera. I mean, we've already
mhm,
covered
Yeah,
that.
or even a
So,
theory that somebody has. If you have a different theory, and it might even sound completely bizarre, but it might make some sense.
mhm,
That might be something that you learn from another person. And I always say that, you know, someone who's on, Travel Channel or Destination America or, whatever it is, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a celebrity. I always think that a celebrity is someone that everyone will know. Like, I always use
mhm,
Sylvester Stallone or, you know, I don't know, like Brad Pitt or some. Those are the people that our parents know.
mhm.
The people that are on those other channels, they're celebrities to us because we watch those things because we want to learn more. But they're not celebrities to our parents or, our grandparents or whatever. That means to me that they're not necessarily celebrities. They're just ordinary
mhm.
people. They put on their pants the same way everybody else does, or they bleed the same color or whatever. They just think that they're celebrities.
Yeah.
I got to say hello to the Holtes,
I
Katie and
hope
Steve.
well,
They keep on
apparently they
telling.
love you.
Yeah, they love me. I love you guys too. They're great people. You ever need a piece of equipment? go to Steve and Katie Holte. They got some great boxes, to listen to, and they're always great, coming out with something new. I don't know if you heard of them, but
Mhm.
they're okay. They always have something new, and so.
I was over here trying to squish my head back down because I thought they were talking about this Anthony because I'm Tony too. So I was like, she said, "Oh, he has a great perspective and approach." I'm like, "Oh, thanks."
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is you. It's not me. I'm sorry. It's you. Katie, tell it to. I'm good. I'm friends with them. I'm good friends with them, and I've been on quite a few investigations. I got one of their boxes. Huh?
But are you good friends with them?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm just throwing names out there to look big and important.
But we have to mention that Steve was actually on Deathwalker with Nick Groff, and he was awesome.
Yeah,
he was really awesome on the show. So, Katie, tell your husband that we saw him.
Yeah. Well, when I see it, I took a picture on the TV, and I, every time I got a friend that's on TV, I take a picture of them and I put it on Facebook. Say, hey, look, I see my friend on whatever show, And Steve did do a good job on that.
Speaking of the,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he has one of those. And now I forgot what I was going to say. The Tesla coils, the big tower. He has a thing going. It's awesome. I was like, man, if you touch that thing, you get electrocuted. It's so big. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish. What you say?
So Katie just said she had a good EVP, and that she was talking about both of us. So we're equally important there.
See that? It's the Anthony's night. Hey.
And the Marine show.
And the Maureen. I said Anthony, and an alarm goes off. Did they find? They found us, Maureen. We gotta hide.
Area 51.
Oh no, we're.
The Holtes. If you guys have equipment, we are about to start looking into seeing if we can get equipment to test within George Taylor House and get pictures and stuff like that. We're actually looking for the Tesla coil. We're actually looking for a Geoport. We have a portal. So different stuff like that. So we're going to look out for, equipment makers and manufacturers to try to see if we can get stuff, borrowed and then sent back. That way we can try it, inside, George Taylor House, and also another location we go to, which is Samuel Miller.
Those two have such great equipment. It's unbelievable. I know Steve. I met him in 2010 at the Chrysler Mansion, and we didn't even know we met each other because I was invited there by another team. He was invited there. So, we had, a couple of talks. So years later, I go down with Ron and Lourdes down to North Jersey because Ron bought a box on them. And we go down there, and it's like, so we start talking about different things and the Chrysler Mansion, this and that. Because, I did the Chrysler Mansion in 2010. I said, so I mentioned the person who invited me. He goes, he invited me. We happened to be there. I have a picture of the people, the crew that was there. And he's standing in one spot. I'm standing in the other spot, my brother and my son. And I'm like, oh, shit, we're in the same picture. We didn't even know. Well, these years later, But
it's funny how that happens.
Yeah, you never know. You never know who you bump into, especially years later.
Katie said the Geoport can suck a bag of no offense. So, Katie, we'll be in touch.
We'll have something for you, Tom.
They come out with some good stuff. They have this thing that goes on the head and rated with the brain waves and stuff.
Oh, the God helmet.
No, it's not even close to God helmet. It's on. It reads your things, but it has a printout and everything. But
reads your like EEG.
Yeah, and it reads out the EKG. It reads all the stuff. And of course, my brain was kind of blank that night, so we didn't get too much waves. But we got a lot of answers from spirits and stuff like that.
That's a good one. I like that.
It's like flatlining. Oh shit! What happened? Am I dead? Am I dead now? No, it worked pretty good for me too. Katie probably pop up there and tell you, but it was pretty good that night. And we're at where were we? Oh, the Ritz Theater in New Jersey, and that's where we were doing that.
Did
It
it
was
have
pretty
like
good.
words pop up, or was it just like
Both,
brainwave?
both.
Both?
You got
I would love to
yeah,
try that.
and words come up and everything, and it's weird because when I was just talking and stuff, nothing happened. I actually had to close my eyes and concentrate, and then all of a sudden they started, doing stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was
I
pretty
would
cool how
love that.
they did that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Here she goes.
CCG hacked Mindflex that controls corpus data.
See, she knows what she's talking about. I have no clue what I'm talking about.
So Katie, is it like a spirit box, but not a spirit box?
She'll pop something up.
Or
There.
does it read your mind? That's what I would be interested in.
And to be brutally honest, I'm interested in testing that out at the George Taylor house.
I think that would be cool. So at the George Taylor house, there
It
were
works. Yeah.
the two best things that I saw. So she said she's working on documentation. Anthony's brain blew it up.
Yeah. See.
So
All your fault, Aunt. You
yeah.
broke it.
See? Well, that's the whole thing. When you test my brain, you can take a chance. Half my brain's left back in the 70s.
Oh, so we know why.
And the beginning of the 80s. So some of the brain is still back there. So
I know not what to hand you, and that's new equipment. Got it.
Yeah.
what do I do with this?
It's like
What's this wire for? Oh!
Receipt printer over 2 million records. No, not anywhere near a spirit box. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, spirit box doesn't have that many words.
One of the coolest things, this was like one of my favorite experiences, when we were in the living room and we were put with Porter and Steph first, and I was sitting across the room. Steph had like the blanket all around her. I don't think she was feeling so great.
She was just cold.
She might have been it was cold. It was like Halloween weekend, I think.
Yeah.
So she was like all bundled up and whatever, and she was sitting on the couch, and I was kind of like across from them. And Porter just had like a spirit box app in his phone, and he was listening for answers. So we were standing there, and behind me I felt something like a big mass, and I kept turning around, and I didn't see anything. But Tony, I don't know if you were there for this part, but like a couple of your people were in the room, and I said, I keep smelling what smells like a cross between tobacco and like apple wood, like a cross between apple and wood. And I found out later when I did some research that they used to put tobacco with wood and like dried up apples in with the tobacco. So that was really interesting. And then we were asking questions and we were listening for the answers through the spirit box. And we were, I don't know how we even got on this thing, but Porter said, can you tell me what your favorite song is? And we heard Doodle Do. And I went over and I sat next to him, and we were like sitting really close to it. And you kind of heard like, and I said, what did it say? And he said, what's your favorite song? And it said, Yankee Doodle Do. And we were both like this. Do you believe that? Asking another question. We were like little kids. We were like high-fiving. And it was just the coolest thing because it was so clear. And then the woman's voice came in, and it kind of was answering for him, and then he would answer. So it was like the husband and wife of the house. And then we went upstairs. This was the other thing. And it was like a whole bunch of people. They all had their briefcases and luggage with them. And then some people had like REM pods, had music boxes, some people had something else. Everybody had like dowsing rods out. It was like the craziest thing. So, I didn't even know that this happened. There was a music box behind me, and it was the eeriest music I've ever heard. It was just really creepy. It was like every kind of movie you've ever seen that was horror. And one of your guys, was there a Dominic?
Dominic. I think that was Christine's husband, which is one of the board of directors members. I think that was her
Okay.
husband.
So he sat on a chair in the middle of the attic, and it was pitch black. You couldn't see a single thing. And I kind of whispered, I feel someone back here, and I feel like it's someone who has a disability, and I think that his name is Henry, and he was put here like a disappointment room, and I was going like this, and all of a sudden the music box went off. And this guy yelled, "It's because you're waving your arm around." And I go, "Really? Because I'm waving my arm around now, it's not going off." And I said, "Now he's over there." And I just saw this guy kind of like cowering in the corner. And then someone else said, "No, it's not her. It's actually the box. Watch, I'll put my stuff over." And he said, "Where is it?" And I said, "It's right there." And he took his stuff and he said, "I'm also disabled. You don't have anything to be afraid of." And he put his box down, and all of a sudden it started to go off. And then Jackson and Cece were there, and she said, she let out this blood-curdling scream. She turned and she flew down the stair and almost fell down the stairs. And I said, "This is getting a little crazy." And I said, "But that's not him. It was Hannah."
Yes.
And then everything went like sideways from there.
let me tell you, like besides the little kids that we're encountering at George Taylor, we have them playing with cat balls and other pieces of equipment, video of them moving the cat ball, direct interaction with the cat ball from these kids. The three main entities that we encounter on a common basis at George Taylor is George himself, his wife Anne, and then Hannah, which Hannah
He's
was
not great.
well, Hannah's thing is Hannah came after the Taylors, and she's part of the Benazet family.
Yep.
And her husband, I believe his name was John, they were married, living in the house. And sadly, John left one day with two business partners and ended up not returning to the house. He left with $10,000 approximately. And there's a record of his ship that he was sailing to England on with his two business partners crashing in Indonesia. So she received the worst news of all, whether it came by telegram or it came by messenger or however she got the message that her husband wasn't coming home. So she is a very intelligent spirit inside that house. And she has, for whatever reason, Jason will admit to it, Candace will admit to it as well, which is Cece. She has latched on to Jason because he fixes the house up. He comes in and does stuff around the house. So he's kind of the man of the house. And Hannah is, no disrespect to her, but she's the average day woman that we have that's very flirty and very, touchy feely, want to be with a man, constantly because she lost her husband. And, a lot of men, get played with in there with her. And then, if you're there as a woman and you're there with your husband or significant other, she tends to bother the women enough to get them to feel uncomfortable to leave, whether it's stomping her foot behind them, whispering in your ear, or laughing in your ear, or just giving you, like Maureen was saying, that overall presence of being behind you.
Mhm.
She's a trickster, and if she wants your man and she wants them singled out to her bedroom or wherever she is, she will do everything in her power to make that happen. She's highly intelligent.
Yeah, and she was I when we were all in the living room and they were talking about, you know, Porter and Stephanie and their background and whatever and what they were planning, I saw her at the top of the stairs and she had her hands on the banister and she was kind of like leaning and she kept leaning down over. And I kept seeing like the guys on your team, they kept hearing like a crack of the floor and they'd like look up. And she kept looking down, almost like I'm gonna start some trouble.
Yeah.
It
And
was
that's why I was
weird.
saying, sometimes, it's about spreading out and going to different locations and using the equipment and doing that stuff. But that's why we like using the living room session, whether we do it early on or later on, just sitting in the living room, having a communal gathering of everybody there and just
Mhm.
listening upstairs, and
Yeah.
calling out to them, hey, we're all down in the living room. If you want to come down and have tea, have some tobacco or talk about what's going on with your neighbors or whatnot, come on down. You'll hear footsteps, you'll hear movement, you'll hear sliding on the floor. Equipment goes off upstairs. Like our boo buddy went upstairs when the mayor was there. That tripped the mayor out. The mayor still talks about it to this day.
Hmm.
I can't, like I said, each time we go to that place, it does not disappoint. There's periods of time where it might be an hour or two and you're kind of like really nothing's going off. We had a small REM pod hit. The energy kind of feels dead, for lack of a better word. But then all of a sudden something will happen and that'll be a flurry of activity that has you mind boggling again, like who did that, why they do that. you know so the two cool things that it's open and we can talk about is this past event that we just had on March 11th there, that Daryl Marston came out. They had got a grandfather clock that's not period to the house, and they had it in the living room, and they happened to move it over by the ladies sitting room. We had two guests that came down the stairwell. One had passed by the grandfather clock, and the other one had just stepped on the living room floor, and one of my teammates was directly behind him. This grandfather clock chimed and went off on its own. There's no battery in it. It's not wound. It's not a grandfather clock that's used in the house. It's just merely decoration. So they tell me about this. I come in the room. I start immediately debunking things. That's what we do, right? Jumping on the floor, moving furniture. I even actually pushed it slightly, and it took a really good nudge for this thing to actually move the chime on the inside.
Hmm.
So we have a camera. We still have to review it, but we're hoping that it was captured on there, and we can say 100% whether or not this young gentleman bumped into it. He says that he did not. But we'll review the video. But the thing that really happened that was cool is the dining room. The dining room is one of the hottest spots in George Taylor. And we were packing up all of our stuff at the end of the night, and somebody said, hey, I don't feel right in this room. I feel kind of off. So we were trying to ask this young lady what she meant by feeling off. And she said, I just feel like overwhelmed or like oppressed, like nothing dark, nothing negative, because there is nothing dark or negative at George Taylor. George could be a little bit, territorial and a little bit, temperamental. He's an older guy that, expect or respected his privacy. Um, and did some bad business dealings, back in the day. But she said, I just don't feel right. So we broke out, what we had handed. We broke out, I think there was a K2, which was giving false positives. So we put it away. We brought out, a Milligauss reader, and we started getting these EMF hits like 17, 13, 38, 174, 84, 12. Like it was fluctuating up and down. So I'm like, okay, I know the baseline of this house, and the only place that has a high EMF is the electrical box in the basement that's on the front wall of the house in the basement. It's a given. It's a large junction box. You're going to get electricity and EMF from there no matter what.
Hmm.
So we're looking and we're scanning the room, and all of a sudden, the chandelier in the dining room starts swinging. Now, what was really, really, really paranormal about this is we all know what the pendulum effect is. So if you have an object that swings one way, it's going to swing back the equal distance until it evens out, right? This chandelier would only move to the left and come back to center mass. It never went to the right. And then what was really trippy, we watched it with our own eyes and it's on camera, is it started rotating, not swinging, but started ever so slightly rotating. It went on for a good solid 20 minutes.
Were you asking any questions during that time?
Nope. It was just, we were just
even
visually
when it started
watching.
circling, right? Because that's like, the pendulum. If it goes sideways, I think that means no. If it goes circle, it means yes.
It
Mhm.
So
depends on-
maybe they were trying to communicate with you
Yeah.
with that.
The sad part, it was really at the end of the night. It was like 1:30 in the morning. We were like packing up. So it was kind of like it caught us off guard. And we kind of like tried to rush in to do the best we can with what we had, at hand. But that's definitely something we're going to look back into, both on the camera for the pastime. And when we go back, we're going to set up a second camera mainly focused on that. And we're definitely going to try that to see if we get some, swing it to the left for yes or swing it to the right for no,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That's where the body cams come in. Because when I go to a location, I turn my body cam on right away. And you see me setting up, you see me getting all my stuff together, and I'm going through the whole night. And at the end, I don't even shut it off till I get to my car.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you leave that body cam on because it's a lot of it's going to be wasted stuff because sometimes you have your hands in front of it, whatever.
Or you're ruffling a jacket or something.
Yeah. So you're going to, a lot of it's going to waste evidence. So if you leave it on, when I go to investigation, the first thing I do is put my body cam on, and then I get all my equipment because you got to set up your cameras and all your lights and everything else. So I do that, and then I leave it going to the end of the night. I leave both of them going to the end of the night, and as you're leaving, because that's when most of the time great stuff happens is when you have your equipment away. You just finish putting stuff away, and oh shit, we got nothing again. You can bring out your phone, but it is not the same. If it's in the dark or anything. So you leave that body cam on. I mean, even voices as you're leaving. The one time I got, because I walked to the car with the cam on, and as I was walking out the door, I said, "Good night, thank you, everybody." I heard "Good night" on the EVP on the thing. Good night. I'm like, but everybody was already in the car. I was the last one in. I was locking the door. So that was pretty cool.
So that was for you then.
Yeah. That's why I put the body cam on as soon as I get there, and the body cam goes off as soon as I walk to my car. And then I just take it and throw it in the front seat and I drive home. But, that's what it.
And I'll definitely message you, man, and try to link up when we get a date for you guys to come down, man, because I'd love for you to get in the house.
Anthony, we got to do it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Now I'm going to be in Pennsylvania most of the time, so I'm not going to be that far. I got, like I said, I have a place in the Poconos now, and part of the reason I got it because driving out of the city at George Washington Bridge, going from New York to, it's always just an extra hour onto my time going up to anywhere. So I got that. It's a lot easier to go places.
The good news is, depending on where you are in the Poconos, the blue route runs right along 22, which is the exit and highway you take to come to George Taylor. So it's roughly about 45 minutes to an hour from where you are in the Poconos. So it's not that far.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm by Strasburg, something like that. Not too far
from there. It took me like an hour and 15 or something like that.
Yeah, it's not a bad drive.
Yeah, Goldsburg. I'm new to Pennsylvania, so I'm still new to it. I got the place last August, so and then I had to close it down for because it's a lot of snow up there. These people, I don't know how these people in Pennsylvania do it. I had no snow here. I just had snow the other day. First time in since everybody's been getting all these blizzards and everything. So I'm going to be opening in April, so I'm going to keep it from April to like November. So I'm going to definitely be around there.
Well, I mean, be a nice place to come out for the weekend, stay up in the Poconos, and then one Saturday night come out to George Taylor House for a private investigation.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to. I'd love to do that. We will definitely talk and get dates down too.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I'd
know?
I'd I'd love for you guys to come out and see the house. I mean, Marine's obviously talked it up. You know,
Oh
she's
my
been
God, I
there.
love the place. I
Yeah, and
absolutely love it there.
I get some people who to join us. So we have a nice little group. How big is the place?
So roughly, I don't know the exact square footage, but I'm gonna take a wild shot and say probably about 2,600 square foot between all the places that you can go into.
Okay.
Um, you have the first and second floor of the main house. You have the basement and the attic, which are, rather large. The basement actually has two sides. Then you have the original house to the left, which is now referred to as the winter kitchen, which is
Hmm.
the original, structure from back in the day. It has its own attic above, which has what we believe to be the servants or slave activity upstairs with
Okay.
kids. And then you have the outside summer kitchen, which is smaller. If you can
Hmm.
imagine a summer kitchen, an old historical summer kitchen, the size of it, it's about
Yeah.
the size of a, medium sized bathroom. It has a second floor, has some activity up there.
Hmm.
And then you have the cold storage, which is below the summer kitchen, which has a well. You could probably fit at best maybe two or three people down there and do EVPs.
Nice.
There's really not many claims down there, but it's definitely something to check out while you're there. Don't brush it off because, like you
It,
were talking about with equipment before, you may not use a piece of equipment everywhere you go, but it's like that with places that you investigate. You may not go into the cold storage the first two times that you're there, but
mm-hmm.
then the next time you go back there, and Lord knows what you'll capture.
Yeah.
We went there, didn't investigate it, and then me and one of my teammates said, "Hey, let's go down here and sit and have a conversation and do EVP and see what we capture." We have footsteps above us on a concrete ceiling, and the summer kitchen above us is probably, I'd say probably 15 to 20 feet above us, and it's a wood
Wow.
floor. And we did have two investigators in there, but they were sitting still. They were not moving. And we actually heard footsteps above us in a concrete cold storage. So
So
it's just like
I'm looking forward to this.
what?
That well, is it a wet well or is it dry now?
it's a wet well, 75 feet down. They have a cage over it.
Yeah.
You can't get in there. God knows what's been thrown down in there. There's rumor of a missing treasure. We're not sure if it's down in there or,
Hmm.
if it's, gone altogether.
Yeah,
What was
because
the area?
water has the energy.
Hmm.
So when water goes onto a building or any kind of, it has energy, it holds that energy, and that could help, manifest things too.
Yeah, it's a
You know.
conduit. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marine, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I'm
What
sorry,
is the?
Marie.
That's okay. What is the area that Jackson showed us that is like they're excavating right now and has like the curly stairs?
So that is the winter kitchen. That is the first floor. That
Okay.
is the original house on the property before the main house was built by George Taylor. That base that you're looking there is an archaeological dig that a historical society did, I want to say back in 2016 or 2017. They found some artifacts down in there, like a shoe buckle, a plate, some bones. The bones were actually found out to be like animal or game bones, so they weren't
Mhm.
human. That was the original
Hmm.
concern. Just some smaller artifacts down in there. And what they actually cut out in the archaeological dig is the base of the original fireplace that was in there. So I don't have any confirmation of when they're supposed to come back, but it's still registered as an archaeological dig on the first floor of the winter kitchen.
That's cool though, even if they did find animal bones, because if it's a kitchen, that's what they were making at that time.
Hmm.
Hmm. Well, kitchens, staircases, attics, and basements. That's where a lot of activity is. And the kitchen, because that's like the heart. Everybody goes to the food is what makes it, you live.
Hmm.
It's an energy force for the human being. So those kitchens have some activity. What I came across, staircase, staircase has so much activity on because people going up and down all the time. You know, from family members to people that are taking care of the house to maintenance people to whatever. And that's always has some sort of activity. So that's energy that's left behind there. And the attic and the basements, that's where spirits seem to hide. At, you know,
Because they're
that's
dark.
they just go to hide when they don't want to be around, I guess.
Yeah.
But the where because whenever there's a lot of clutter, there can be a spirit. You know,
And we found,
what I say is all theory. I'm not saying that's fact. You know,
Mhm.
because there's going to be people out there saying, "Oh, that's not true." I'm saying that's what I came across through the years I've been doing this, and people that I spoke to that do it also. And you know, I put all the information together, and that's what I get. So, like I
Mhm.
said, everything's theory. So, anybody out there wants to, you know,
I
argue with
I
me,
agree
I
with
don't
that.
care. But you
Anytime
know,
I need to close up portals, it's always where there's the most energy. Closets, hallways,
hmm
staircases, any place that has water, like sinks, toilets, showers, computer screens, TVs, whatever. And kitchens are very important. I believe that you know, anybody will say that what you do when you celebrate, you eat.
hmm
Kitchens.
every
Right.
emotion. Being Italian, you know, every emotion we eat. We're sad. We eat. You want to get kid. You're sad. What your mother do? Here, take this, manja, manja. And then later on, you're happy. Hey, yeah, let's eat. Let's have a good time. And every emotion I know, growing up as a kid, being Italian, they fed us to. So spirits, I think I'm not sure if every family goes through that, but
I think the Irish do
it's
that
something you
too. As
should
soon as you walk
consider.
into somebody's house, hey, I have some nice fresh Italian bread. You want a sandwich?
Here's some provolone, hey. So, Tony, listen, I mean, I know you do the George Taylor House, but what other places have you done? I mean, you must have been. I know I can see you guys. You know, I was stalking you the last couple of days on, so I could learn some stuff about you guys.
Sure.
So I asked question, but what you've been to other investigations. What anything that want to talk about, or any experiences on other investigations?
No, he's done for
Something
the
you might
night.
scared? You know, he's done. He's fried.
Um, no, I'm good. With interstate, we cover 4 states. So we cover Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey, and Delaware. We'll travel anywhere within the 4 states, to investigate not only historical locations, public locations, private locations. We also do residential cases. So we'll travel anywhere within those 4 states. So we've been, kind of all over. And we've also traveled outside of that area. We've been to Ohio. We've investigated the old Licking County Jail in Newark, Ohio, several
hmm
times. Extremely haunted location.
Yeah, that's what is on my
Great.
list.
Yeah. Reach out to, Darren Smith. He's the manager out there that runs the Licking County Jail. That
hmm
dude is one hell of a dude and busts his ass for that place. Runs it, great. They just took on a third party who's in charge of like booking the investigation, so to speak.
hmm
But Darren's the man that's going to run it, and probably be there for your investigation. Great guy, great claims, great evidence. We've also been to Prospect Place, which is also out in Ohio. Another great location, that's been on TV shows and, YouTubers, investigations. We've been one of my favorite places by far, and we will be going back and going back and going back until the money well dries off, is the U.S. North Carolina and Wilmington, North
Okay.
Carolina. If I can tell anyone to go to investigation, yes, it's a 7.5, 8 hour drive, depending on how you go, when you go, kind of thing.
hmm
It's well worth it. Book it for 2 nights. We rented an Airbnb down at the beach. We had a beach house for 3.5 days, and we did back-to-back nights with Off Grid Paranormal and Troy Haney and Heather Elliott. Great people. Thank God they turned us on to that. In 2 nights, I saw two full body apparitions. and it walked right in. The first one walked right in through the door of the Marines' quarters and just disappeared in the door that's bolted shut and locked shut. And, I said to Troy, I'm like, hey, I just saw this. And he goes, well, you just saw, the Marine officer that died. The coolest piece of evidence that we captured, I think by far, besides all of our AVPs, George Taylor House, all these places, was one of our investigators. If you're not familiar with the battleship, it was hit by a torpedo when it was out in the Guadalcanal and during the Pacific Fleet and the battle. I believe it was September 15th, 43, I believe. I could be off by a year or a day, but approximately around then. The captain of the ship was in the middle of a fleet, and there was a smaller, troop transport ship. They came under attack by Japanese torpedoes. The captain of the battleship knew that the battleship was much bigger, much larger, and it could probably withstand a torpedo hit versus the troop ship and support ship that was next to it could not withstand the hit. So he actually ordered the ship to stern and turn into the impact of the incoming torpedo. And sadly, with the waves, going up and down, there was an area where these guys were playing a game. There was about 26 soldiers in there. The wave came up, so they were above on the rise of the wave when the torpedo hit the side of the ship, and it hit right near a shower room, like a toilet room on the lower deck. And unfortunately, there was 5 or 6 soldiers that were in there that were doing their business, taking a shower, going to the bathroom, and they were tragically struck by a torpedo. Now, we all know on ships that, when you have to seal a hatch because it's flooding and there's 2 million gallons of water rushing the ship, you unfortunately have to seal a hatch, and whoever's alive is going to die on the other side of that hatch, and you have to make that decision. So the coolest thing was we were down there, cameras going, REM pods, and at first I didn't understand it. We had a REM pod in the middle of that area, about 6.5, maybe 8 feet from where the actual torpedo hit. And it was playing a rhythmic song or rhythmic tone. Now, we all know REM pod works off of intensity level breaking the field. So, it goes from beep to beep, you know what I mean? How it goes. Yeah. Well, it was making a rhythmic tune. Like beep, 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 beep. So, we didn't think about that at first. So then we get ready to go to leave because we only had a limited time in there before the other team had to come down because it's an off the limits area. You pay a couple extra dollars, you get in here, and it's really worth it. So my teammate Brittany had the old pink mag light with the twist end that people use for, the flashlight game. She was walking down the end opposite of where the REM pod was to collect a camera, tripod recorders, and some other equipment. I was at the other end with one of my teammates, and we were gathering stuff. And she said, guys, look at this. And we're like, what is she talking about? So I look down the end of the hall, and her flashlight is flashing in a rhythmic pattern. So I said, is the night watchman there? Because the night watchman is a security guy that stays there to make sure you're safe, nothing happens. He served in the Navy, but not on the battleship, on a different ship. 86 years old, little 5'1", 70 pounds, very frail, old, cute old man. And I think his name was Dennis. I said, is Dennis still there? Call him in here. He comes in. Brittany's still down there. All she's doing is holding the light in her hand. Like she's not moving it. There's no walking. She's just leaving it sit in her hand. Dennis comes in and I go, Dennis, I said, what does that look like to you? And he goes, son, that's Morse motherfucking code. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's Morse code. And I'm like, okay, that explains the rhythmic pattern. So I look at him. I look at the light again. And I said, I know what Morse code is, but I don't know how to read it. Can you tell me what's that saying? And he looks at me and he starts crying. And he gets tears coming down his eyes. And he goes, that's Morse code, boy. So can you imagine being in the bottom of the ship where these soldiers died while they were going to the bathroom, taking a shower, hit by a torpedo in wartime,
Hmm.
and they were trapped in that bulkhead, whether they were killed immediately or died subsequently being trapped in there? And I think we residually captured one of them tapping out Morse code to let people know that he was alive to come get him, because that's what they were trained to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
messed
mean,
that
Morse
messed me up
code is
for a
no,
couple of days.
that is wild. That's wild. We had a guy on here a couple of weeks ago um, that he was in the Navy and he was there, and they were getting Morse code also. And he was in the Navy. He had somebody read it, and it was like, something would help or something like that. But it was really something. You're saying Morse code, and he got it also. Another investigator. That's wild how. And on
And
ships, that's how they back then. That's how they communicated.
and
You know.
I will add another small piece of information to this that correlates with what occurred downstairs, is that Brittany's mom, Brenda, who's one of my admin girls, was upstairs in the staging area, which I think was about 4 or 5, decks up. And we didn't know it at the time, but we found out afterwards. We looked at the time frame. It was about maybe 4 minutes from when she did it. Um, One of our friends, Larissa from Third Eye, and Para, she was in, I believe, the Army, and she told us on the way down to the battleship to download like a um like an app that could tell us like what war signals were, or what commands were on a ship. And Brenda said, and we found it out correlating about 3 to 4 minutes before what happened downstairs with the SOS, the
Mhm.
flashlight, the REM pod. She actually played like battle cries from this app. And one of them was, battle stations, incoming torpedo. And
Wow.
not only did we have that evidence occur downstairs in the torpedo room, we actually had a StreamYard live on a laptop going in the mess hall. And we also had a drop camera that we had people watching that live feed. And we have a video showing nothing is in the mess hall. There's no people, there's no investigators, there's nothing. But you can clearly hear not only the StreamYard live stream and on our camera, you can hear what the only thing I can explain to you is total pandemonium, that the ship was about to be attacked and everybody was running to their battle stations from the cafeteria. Trays were banging, boots were running, doors were banging, and there was no one
Wow.
in this mess hall.
Wow. And you heard that. That's awesome. That
So
is
I can say
awesome.
by far that was probably not only one of the most emotional investigations I've ever been on, but one of the most
Mhm.
prolific. Being on a battleship that fought its ass off to save this country, and
Mhm.
those soldiers, they had other deaths on the ship too, medical, suicides, that kind of stuff. But it saw war. It was attacked. And it's
Mhm.
part of our great history of why we're such a free country. And you know it it messed me up for a couple of days, emotionally,
Mhm.
to like be in that area and knowing that these guys died for our country, and there's nothing that we can do for them other than offer them the solstice that they didn't die in vain. We're free and we won the war, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's you go there and you show respect. You know.
Always.
Um,
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Carmen wants to know, which war did the ship serve?
World War II.
In 1943, if it got hit, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever seen someone else's investigation where they had the same type of activity, or was this like the most activity you've ever seen from that particular battleship?
So that was our first time going there. Prior to going there, Troy Haney and Heather, really good friends of mine from Off Grid Paranormal, they had talked about experience that they had. They talked about the actual apparition going into the Marines' quarters, footsteps, stuff like that, but nothing about the torpedo magazine, at all. They told me about I think it's called the Folkswain, is like the emergency communication that goes off in the bridge. There's no power to that area. They talked about that going off. Some things, that they talked about. We saw and experienced a couple of them, but we had our own different experiences when we were on there, which made it great. That's the battleship, going to other places, speaking of Fort Mifflin, because we've been to, yeah, Carmen, Ghost Hunters did investigate on the ship. Adam Berry and Amy Bruni had a shadow on the bow of the plane or back of the ship where the plane is, walk completely across the deck and walk right off the ship. And it's like a 96-foot drop off the side of the boat. So it wasn't a human. Like to give a nice welcome to Bob Christopher. He's joining in tonight.
Yeah,
good old Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Thanks for bringing the Paracon back at Pennhurst, brother. I can't wait to see you there.
I gotta miss that one this year.
Fort
so
Mifflin
about it.
Fort Mifflin, Pennhurst. I've been to those locations, 12, 13, 14 times. I've seen stuff that people have experienced. I've had my own experiences. I've also not seen what other people have seen. And they've said, oh, I've seen this or had this occur. And I'm like, I've never had that occur here whatsoever. But I don't disagree with you that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I've just never had it happen.
What's your most terrifying that you've been to?
Most terrifying? I would have to venture to say currently we're working on a private case that I can't disclose too much information. But it is a very dark energy. We don't like to say the D word, but I think we're dealing with that particular entity at this location.
But you do private homes as well, right?
We do. Yep, we do private homes.
Or is this not?
This is a private.
Okay.
So I'd say overall, this is probably the most scariest or darkest thing that I've dealt with. Publicly or like a historical location, I could probably say the basement of Devon at Pennhurst has been another, sketchy spot. Right before Portals to Hell went in there, they had an unfortunate incident that was found, and they think something was coming into the basement of Devon. And Michelle confirmed that for the show and has done some work, to clear that out. That would probably be second to what we're dealing with privately. That would probably be my top one, where as soon as we hit this one room, it was get the hell out of here type thing. Things were going on as we were because we don't run in ghost hunting, right?
Never. I'm always the first in and last to leave. I don't know better.
And I think, and Bob just commented he had his there. So I wonder if he's referring to Devon or just Pennhurst in general for his scary moment.
Oh.
So Bob, if you can clarify that, because I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, scary moments.
Yeah, that would probably be my top two. This private case and this residential and, Pennhurst and Devon building.
You said Quaker.
Yeah, so sometimes, private locations can be the scariest. And you try to go in there and you try to help a family, and you're like, wow, what did I get myself into?
Yep.
And, and it's like, what now? Now I got to get this one help. It's like, oh boy. And you want to help, but.
We have one of my admins, Cindy. She actually had some eye work done today, so she can't see. So she may or may not be listening. She has this deli that she goes to in Delaware County here in Pennsylvania. They have awesome rolls, awesome lunch meats. It's Italian deli. Every single time she goes in this deli, she comes out with a new case. And we're on like number 5 from her going to this deli. And number 5 happens to be the case that we're working on. So like the going rule is now no more rolls from the deli, no more lunch meat. Cindy's not allowed to go to this deli because look what she brings.
So maybe there's
you gotta get your bagel somewhere else. Hey, come on.
But now we tease her about it. She kind of takes it to heart, but we're just teasing her. They're going to come no matter whether you go to a deli or, you get an email. Or
Yeah.
a George Taylor. We could have somebody walk up and be like, "Hey, my grandmother's house has poltergeist activity. Can you guys come check out the chair?" All right,
Mhm.
on the way. We'll put it on the calendar.
And sometimes you go, I mean, I had stuff sent to me in the past, and they're like, we have something going on, and I'm like, okay, you try to get the information from the people, and sometimes you're like, is it something really going on, or is it something that they're manifesting? And you try, and then you have to go in there and play like you talk to these people and see where it's coming from. If it's really a paranormal thing or it's just something that they manifesting on their own. So I mean, I've been to locations like you go in there and then you find out like the daughter of the people, like a 13-year-old kid, used to hide in the closet and throw shit across the floor, and you're like, oh come on, or she'll find out another way of pulling something off the shelf, and but you go to these locations try to help, and most of the majority of the time you're helping people, but you got those people that that want the attention, I guess.
Or it could be that, and this is usually what I've seen, it's a girl who's in her teens. She has anger issues. She's also psychic, and she has a PK manifestation that's happening.
That's exactly what I was going to
Mm.
touch on. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob said Quaker is a new building that is open at Pennhurst, and he's been in there numerous times and had a 1-foot piece of rebar thrown at him. That's not good.
So he's speaking
No.
to Quaker, and I don't want to speak out of context. Jim Werner's the operations manager of Pennhurst, but there's another building on the property that they are working to rehab and get it open, just like they did with Devon and now Quaker. And if the infirmary is still open, that was another building. But this other building, I don't want to throw the name out there and speak out of context without Jim saying that it's okay. But this other building is what Bob is talking about, similar to objects being thrown with poltergeist activity. Jim does not allow any of the staff into this building unless they're going in like a group of like 4 or more to do stuff, because he says this building, chairs get thrown at people, like cinder blocks get thrown. Like there's a lot of
Cinder
poltergeist
block.
activity. Yeah.
That's big energy.
What kind of power this thing they have to pick up a cinder block?
Yeah. So I joke
even
with
a
him.
rebar like this, like get thrown out, Bob.
Yeah.
There's some sort of heavy duty, energy that's going on there to actually be able to move things like that.
I joke with Jim when he told me this, and I said, I'm not a TV network. I don't have $50,000 to rent out a spot for the week. I said, but I do want to have first dibs in this building, because one of my key things, I have seen a cat ball thrown off a table. I have it on video. I have heard objects like small pebbles or like bolts in locations being thrown, and you hear them dropping or hitting objects.
I had locations like that.
The basement in Mayflower, we had a piece of wood that was tossed, but I did not visually see it. One of my holy grails is I want poltergeist activity. I want a dinner plate to fly across the room. I want a chair to fly across the room. Like what he's talking about in this particular building, and obviously what Bob said about Quaker, I need to see that. I need to see it like tomorrow. So spiritual world, let's make it happen.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear something like that. It's like,
how much does it cost to rent something like that?
And talk about
Does it cost a significant amount to rent it?
Well, I mean, when you talk about newer buildings at Pennhurst, they have videography fees and stuff like that for networks. It's all about trying to have that storyline or get into a new location for like a TV show. So it may be offered, to a TV show at some point in time, and they may say, "Sure, we'll give you $50,000 to go in there," because guess what? No one's been in there. So
they'd be the first.
And Bob just commented. He said he knows that building, so I'm curious to see, because it may be something more than just a deceased resident inside this building. There may be some other darker powers behind some of that stuff. So
I would say. So
Well, I
there's
think
stuff like that. It has to be something, you
a
know.
lot of times people misunderstand what's there, and they think that it's demonic, and it's
Hmm.
not. It's like someone that's just ornery. They've been here too long. They're tied to the earth. They can't cross over. There's something that's holding them back, whatever the case may be. And then there is something that's darker, and they've messed around with things that they shouldn't have, or someone summoned them, or whatever it might be. And I think if it's like asylum type buildings, people do have mental illnesses, and they did play around with things that were darker, and they got into things that they shouldn't have, and they didn't understand what was there.
Hmm.
At Penhurst, when I went there, because when I see things, and I don't get it on film or anything, I could see spirits and stuff. I actually draw them, and I actually, it was one of the buildings there. I forgot the name of it, but it was a with the boys. It was boys and adults there, and it's outside the main office. I only been to Penhurst once, and then I my knees started bothering me, so I only had to sit down. But in this building, I seen a child, a naked child, in the corner of a room, and I actually drew showing what I drew, what I seen, and that's because like I said, if I can't get it on, if I see something, I will draw it, and I'm doing an art show in the
In
this whole
April.
the Rich Theater in April. And it's a para art show, so I'm going to show all my different pictures I've seen through the years. But there was a lot of bad stuff that happened there. These people, I mean, they were just dropped off there, and nobody ever picked them up or anything. They were just left there the whole life.
Hmm.
So there was a lot
Anthony,
of bad stuff.
was it actually a child?
Yeah, it was a child. Yeah.
When that place first opened, 1906, it started out with good intentions, and over the years, it was almost like a university for people that had disabilities. You had to apply to be able to go there.
Hmm.
And, you got to remember back in '06, '07, '08, being a pillar of the community, whether you're in the banking industry, whether you're in politics, whether you're in real estate or land, to have a disabled child, and not have the knowledge base that we have now, like an autistic child, a kid with
Hmm.
seizures or deformity, it was a status symbol that if you had a deformed kid, you were frowned upon. So you'd
Hmm.
have these big, expensive families. I'm not going to name names of families because I don't want to be rude or single anybody out
Hmm.
wrongly. But if you were a big banker from Philadelphia and had a kid that had, epilepsy, you didn't have time to deal with that. It wasn't medically, known or how to take care of it back then. You drive out to Penhurst, kick your son out the door to the admin building. The nurses would take your son in, and off to the sunset you went, and you never saw that child again. And
Yeah,
like you said, they
you just
lived there
left
their
it.
whole life.
Or
I
if
see.
you didn't
I
have it,
seen
then you
Bob.
had a disappointment room.
Yeah, I seen Bob put up there for the Knickerbocker Hotel.
Never been there, but I want to.
That is awesome. Peggy Knickerbocker owns it, and She's really great to deal with. And that place is wild. That's another picture. That's another thing I drew a picture from. I seen a man in the mirror with long hair and stuff with a beard. So I drew and I showed her, and she goes, "I got a picture down the basement. I got to dig it out of that same person." So yeah, there's so much stuff. That's a nice place to go to, and it's a beautiful place too. It really is. It's really, really well kept. It's not like a place that you're gonna go to. You're gonna freeze all night. You know, she actually takes care of the place and you know maintains it and stuff like that. But it's an interesting place, interesting history and everything on it. So you gotta check that place out too.
Yeah,
You know,
it's on my bucket list.
yeah. I mean, we drove out there. I think it took us like 9 hours. So it's like by the time we get out there and set up, and then we had a hotel that night. We went somewhere else to stay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was like, and then driving back, we only went for like overnighter. So 9 hours there, 9 hours out, 18 hours driving for investigation, ends like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like,
Yeah.
but it was
Long,
well, it
long
was well worth
24
it.
hours.
It was well worth it. It was well worth it. We had a good time there, and a lot of
Good.
stuff. Yeah. So
You
yeah.
know, we talked about earlier, I if Bob's still on here, but talked about, celebrities, you know what I mean? I always tease Bob every time I'm seeing him, yo man, can I get your autograph? As a
Mhm.
celebrity. He's like, I'm not no damn celebrity, stop calling me that. But the flip side of that, what you said, Anthony, earlier about years of experience, Bob's been around, I want to say probably 30 plus years. Been
Mhm.
on his own little ghost detective show on that
Yeah.
upstate Pennsylvania network.
So the
He's
something
building
cops, the ghost cops, or something like that.
ghost detectives.
Ghost detectives. Okay, I knew it was something to do with cops. The ghost
Years of
detectives.
experience, years of investigating, building his own equipment with, Gina, a significant other,
Mhm.
highly, respective guy, in the field,
Mhm.
and, some people look up to him. I know he doesn't like to hear that, but, get used to it. People look up to you.
He's a good guy. You know. We'll go see him at Gettysburg again.
Yeah.
Him and Gina.
Out back
Yeah.
with cigars and drinking. That's the nightly activities at the bash.
That's my. I know that's my activity.
You see his comment? Thank you. I do appreciate it. But in person, he'd be like, I'm not no damn celebrity. Get out of here with that autograph shit.
I'm looking for the bash. I'm looking forward to that because I mean, it's like everywhere I go, I have to drive. There, I could get drunk and just all I gotta do is drive an elevator up to the floor I'm on.
As long as you're in it.
I get to smoke my cigars. My cousin just gave me some Cuban cigars, so I'm hoping to have some left by that time. Maybe if you hang out there, we'll have a drink or two.
Yeah, definitely. And we can talk, chit chat, network,
Yeah, it's awesome.
plan stuff.
I go guy on my team, Giuseppe. We call him Joe. We call him Josie. Giuseppe, you'll get to see him, and he's a good guy. Him and I go a lot of places together. He's part of my team, the Seekers Club of the Paranormal. So he's part of my team. So
Bob said he's enjoying a stogie right now.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Proof, Bob. Post the Facebook selfie of the stogie on the porch.
I'm sitting in my office right now. Not really cigars in here, but I go. I'm in Queens, so I don't have you guys' backyards. I live in a cooperative. I'm in a co-op,
okay.
so I got a nice sized apartment. But if I want to have a cigar, I got to go down to the freaking car, or I sit in my car with a cigar, or I got a garage in the back here, and it's like all public garage. The whole community they have garages full of some people and parking spots. If I go by my garage and then my next door neighbor garage people, they all sit out in the back without chairs and smoke cigars and drink beers. So that's the most I get to do. That's why I got the place in Pennsylvania on the porch, so I can sit on my porch, have a beer and a cigar.
3 hours to get to a place where you can have a cigar.
Yeah, why not? Hey,
So
I also got my I got to board a golf cart because there's a little community out there. So I drive my golf cart to the lake and I have a cigar and a beer. So
it's
cool.
What lake are you on? Harmony?
No, Eagle Lake.
Eagle. Okay.
Yeah, it's what's
our
that
good
called?
friend Tony-
Goldberg.
Goldsboro.
Goldsboro. I don't know it yet. I'm still new out there. Goldsboro. I just had to pay the taxes out there. Come on. I'm like,
Well, then
I'm
you
paying
should really
taxes?
know it.
Yeah. So
Our good-
yeah.
Our good friend Tony here has to put his daughter to bed. So, Tony, do you have anything that you would like to tell us about that's coming up for you?
So yeah, we are holding another VIP event. It's public ticket sales at the Sam Miller Mansion in Columbia, PA. It's June 24th. We have our buddy Daryl Marston coming out, for that. So we'll have another public investigation. You can join in and investigate with him. We have which I'm excited for. Our first time at the Hell House, which is also the Waldorf Estate that's run by Angie Moyer and Third Eye Productions with Larissa and Alan Rex from Para. We're looking forward to that private investigation too. Both, to debunk some stuff and actually find some evidence that, has been captured there, and do some research and test some things. I have my own little experiment I want to do in the coat check area. So, I've already talked to them about that. Please stay tuned to all of our socials. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, who right now we seem to be doing really well on TikTok. We're able to go TikTok live. We're having 4,000 or 5,000 viewers at a time. People are really enjoying our TikToks that we put out there. We make serious investigative, TikToks with some evidence and some behind the scenes footage. We put out some cool, joke, have fun, jovial type TikToks. So people are loving them too. Mr. Anthony, if you remember the scene from Ghost Hunters or Ghostbusters where the chick's at the desk and they're all in the kitchen eating, and somebody calls and they're explaining that they got a ghost in their house, and she's like filing her nails and she's like, yeah, okay, sure,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then she hangs the phone up and she's like, we got one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were at a location in Essex, Maryland, which is a police and fire museum, and Cindy loved her to death. They had an old phone in the medicine area, and we did a TikTok in the dark, and she picks the phone up and she's like, we got one. And the phone is not plugged into anything. And right when she said we got one, we had a lantern hit, like EMF lantern hit, right as she said we got one. So that was kind of cool. We got it on a TikTok video, and it's blown up. I don't want to say it's going viral because we're not that big, but a lot of people have liked it and loved it. So, we do TikTok too. So we go live from more places. We are moving forward to get a better like camera rig to be able to, stabilize some of the video, being able to set it down, that kind of stuff. So, follow our socials, like us, share us, get our name out there. Come to our events. We put on a good time. Maureen's been, to some of our events. She's already talked about that. And last but not least, George Taylor House in Catasauqua, PA. I can't stress that enough. Stay tuned for our public events. We are getting ready to launch a series of dates between now and 2024 for events that we're going to be holding there. Obviously, May 4th, the episode of Ghost Hunters is coming out, so you'll be able to watch it live on a more national audience.
Looking forward to that.
Whatever they capture, we're going to possibly I'm not going to say anything further, but whatever they capture, we may or may not have captured as well. So stay tuned for that. We're super excited for everything. We're extremely, extremely, extremely grateful for the opportunity that the board and Jason and Candace came to us to ask us to be their host team at George Taylor and handle all of their paranormal events. Can't thank you guys enough. And, we love you guys.
Oh, we love you guys too. Thank you so much for being with us. And
yeah,
I can't wait to do some investigations with you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch, Mr. Anthony. We'll set something up.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
All right.
That's great.
Too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And tell everybody.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. This was great. I like doing podcasts. It's something different.
Yeah. Anytime.
And remember, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
All right.
Tony, anytime.
All right. See you guys later.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Good night, man.
Yep. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was a good show.
I thought so. It was a very good show.
He's a great guest.
Good guest. Yeah, very good guest. I'm looking forward to working with him too in the future.
Yeah, I would love to go if you want to go with me.
I'll bring you. We'll make arrangements and you'll be with us.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're back in the States, not down.
I hope so.
Not the bing 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 bing. Come back north. Come back where the Yankees are.
I didn't leave the States. I'm still in the state.
What state? State of mind?
No, maybe not. So what do you have coming up? Anything interesting this week?
This
Weekend?
week, not this weekend, but next weekend, my son's getting married.
Yay! Finally.
Yeah, he's getting married. It's funny because he has two weddings. He's going to be. He's marrying a woman that's Indian, and they're having a ceremony on the Saturday of the 25th. And I have to get. I have all that Indian. I had to buy the whole Indian outfit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you guys are probably going to see me on Facebook or wherever with me in my Indian garb. And then the next day, he's getting married. You know, the regular ceremony. He's not the ceremony the day before. He's not really getting married. It's just because the grandparents are Indian, and but
So they're
she's like
following the culture.
American. Yeah, her and her mom are all like American. You know, they're born here and stuff. So they're just doing it in honor of of their religion. But it's not going to be really You know, it's going to be the marriage, but it's they're going through a whole ceremony. So that's going to be interesting.
That's
Um,
amazing.
we just went last weekend for the food tasting of Indian food,
How was it?
and well, I really enjoyed a lot of it. And there's
Was it
no meat.
spicy?
I'm like, there was no meat. I'm like, how am I going to
We're
survive?
veggie. We're
But it was good.
veggie.
It was pretty good. You know,
Well, the cow is sacred to them, so they don't eat cow. And I think pig, isn't it dirty?
I don't know. Well, they do eat meat, but it's supposed to be a holiday that day, that week. There's a holiday, the Indian holiday. So nobody's supposed to eat meat and stuff like that. So I don't care. The food was good. I enjoyed it. A little spicy, but I like spicy. So
I like spicy too.
yeah, so it was good. I enjoyed it, and and then he's gonna get married the next day, and then April. I got. Oh wait, it's the yeah. The 30th of this month, not the 30th, the 31st of this month, because I keep on telling you the 30th. The 31st of this month, I'm doing this Stillwell Village out in Morris County.
Oh,
A
that's
group of
cool.
us are going. I'm actually going to be sitting there showing a group. They're doing a tour, and I'm going to be showing groups of people how to use the equipment and talk to them about some of the theories and stuff like that with paranormal that I have and share with them. So it's going to be a nice little thing. So that's what I got coming up.
Very
And
cool.
you?
A little bit of nothing. Um, Nothing. I'm writing some movies and a little bit more of that and some more of that. There's a lot to write. Oh, Jessica said, "Congrats! You'll look sharp in the Indian suit." Thank you, Maureen, Anthony, and Tony. Thank you, Jessica. That's sweet of
Yeah.
you. Let's see. Think I don't really have like anything major going on
Mhm.
until April. And then we have a big, huge promo event on April 7th. It will be at Club M2, which used to be called Mansion in Miami. And so we're excited about that. And I have some other things that are going on, but not anytime soon. I was offered some movie positions. I'll have to like go over that next time maybe because we're running out of time. But yeah, I'll be in some movies and I'm writing some movies and I have some other paranormal things that are coming up and I can't talk about them yet, but maybe by the next time we have a show. Um, but it's a lot of fun and I'm having a great time. And obviously the weather's not doing so great here. But yeah, I can't wait to be able to talk about stuff because I hate having a secret and not being able to tell anybody.
Yeah. Well, then when you get to tell everybody, you're gonna be more excited. So.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be more exciting. But
Mhm.
So the things that I can tell are on my IMDb if you want to check that out. So you can go to IMDb and check out Maureen Grodzinski, and you could see what I have there so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
tonight he was an awesome guest.
yeah.
You know, awesome guest. Like I said, I can't wait to go with them in the future. We'll go do some stuff with them.
Yeah,
You
I'd
know.
love to investigate with you. And I've never been able to investigate with you yet. And I think it would be a lot of fun. And we can take, Loris and Ron with us or whoever else wants to go. And,
Mhm.
we could fill up our dance card and see who'd like to go.
Yeah. Well, I got the group that I'm gonna already bring. So you know, I got and Giuseppe. You forgot him.
Oh,
Don't forget
Joe Zeppy
Giuseppe, Uncle Giuseppe. You can't forget him.
and Lynn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get some stuff in. Like
Yeah,
I
I
said, we
think
got
it'll
the
be a lot
group.
of fun.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
So 9:30. This is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I'm Maureen Grodzinski, and I'm with my great co-host, Anthony Simonelli.
Have a
This
good
is,
night and forget about it.
yeah, this is a wrap. Forget about it. We'll see you
Yeah.
next Thursday. Same time, same place. We'll see you then. Have a good one.
Same bat channel.
It's a good channel.
Yeah.
Only positivity, many blessings, and lots of love to everybody. Have a great night. See you next time.